Okay, thanks for tuning in again. We'll continue on with from the last video. We just finished creating a spawn point for our demon, and what'll happen is the spawn plugin creates a random tag for the spawn point, and that's it here. We're going to grab this tag because we're going to need it later. We're going to need it when we go to activate this this spawn point. So I'm just going to record it like that. Put that back there. So we have our demon spawn point ready. And I think that's it for spawning and AI work that we have to do. So at this point, the quest itself is implemented. We just need to use the SE plugin to do all of the other things that we want to have happen. So we will need, the first thing we're going to need for the special effects is a Mr. SE man, a special effects manager. And again, all he has to have is a unique tag. So I'm just going to give him a unique tag. And he's the guy, that's going to manage our special effects. If you're not familiar with Legend Special Effects, you're going to see a lot of things that may seem confusing at first. You really do need a fundamental understanding of the Special Effects plugin to understand what I'm doing. If you haven't looked at my previous videos regarding the Special Effects plugin, you should do that. Otherwise, a lot of what I'm about to do will not make any sense to you. My recommendation would be to look at the playlists on my YouTube channel, and the playlist in question is the Legends Quest Advanced Functions and Features. It's an 8-video playlist, but you only really need to start on video 3. 3 to 8, I believe, show a lot of the special effects plugin, and it begins with the very basics, the very concepts of how the special effects plugin works. So you want to look at those videos, because I'm not going to get into how the special effects plugin works, what the flag system is, and what they are, and how to keep track of them and all that stuff, because those videos already do all that. So that said, we can move on. So let's look at our little list of things that we want to do. 4 priests are going to be in there. They're going to be performing a ritual. So when we enter the room, they're going to be doing this. They're going to be just doing some random actions of worship. Then we're going to want the player to trigger a conversation. And we're going to use flag 1 for this. So when the players get close to the priest, we're going to want to trigger a conversation. And the priests are going to start saying some things and words to us. So we'll need a special effect trigger. So just to show where I'm getting that from, that's under Legends Quest. Special effects flag trigger. So we're going to use one of these. And we're going to put it around our little platform here. So when the player walks up to the platform or on it, and that's not perfect, but whoops. Nope, I do not want to reboot for updates right now. So when the players walk up to the platform, the priests will stop their worship and start a little conversation. So we're going to use flag 1. So we're going to activate flag 1. The player crosses this trigger. So we're going to fire up the SC plugin on it, on a trigger instance, and we're going to set flag 1 when they walk across it. Okay. Flag 1 is done. We're going to want to have a little conversation, like I said before. So we're going to create a new conversation, and we're going to call it, I don't know, just call it priests, I guess. Open. The conversation is going to be relatively simple. It'll be a multiplayer cutscene, and we'll just add some text, like, I don't know, who are you? And that'll be a 3-second long ad, and then we'll have another guy say, what are you doing here? Now again, you would put in something meaningful for your quest, obviously, but this is just a basic cutscene. How did you get in? And oops, and that one will be a 3-second as well. And the last guy will say, quickly finish the summoning. And that'll be 3 seconds, and like so. Now, the next little thing is we're going to want to do is, I'm going to actually save this. Next we're going to do is going to throw down those priests right down on the area. Now I'm doing this temporarily, and I'll show you why. They need to exist in the area when I'm editing that convo. Priests. I want each priest to actually speak this. So how you do it is you actually go in here to the speaker and you select the priest you want and the speaker. And this is just a test module. I use this module for all sorts of things. 3 and bad priest 4. There. We will want bad priest 4 to talk to bad priest 1. I don't want him staring at the player when he says, quickly finish the ritual, so we want him saying that to bad priest 1. See, bad priest 4 to bad priest 1. These ones will talk to the player. Now, the last thing that has to happen is once the conversation ends, we want the priests to actually summon him. So they stop. They actually stop and stop their worship and do their conversation. But when we finish the conversation, we want to set flag 2 so that they can do the rest of this. So we need to set flag 2 at the end of this conversation. And how you do that is you just simply add a script. And the script, an action script, and the script is quest_se. The script is this one here, leg quest se set flag. Now, when you're using this script in a conversation, the flag system is a bitwise binary system of sorts. What you need to put in here is the integer value of the flag you want to set. So there's actually a table that I use. I'll show it to you. It looks like this, and again, it's just a bitwise flag set. We want to set flag 2, so the integer value for flag 2 is 2. But if I was setting flag 10, for example, the value would be 512. So all it is a doubling of the number prior to it. So all the flags from 1 to 31 are in this list. For this example, I'm using flag 2, which just happens to have an integer value of 2. But don't make the mistake of setting this number to the flag. Like, don't put 31 here if you want to set flag 31. Put its integer value in. So that sets flag 2. So the conversation ends, flag 2 gets turned on. And that's it for the conversation. Okay, let's get these items in the SE plugin. Now, I don't need these guys anymore, so let's get rid of them. Let's get what we have so far in the manager. So again, what we have so far is the player walks across the trigger and sets flag 1, at which point we want the priest to stop their worship and then say a few words, which is basically activate their conversation. So we'll go into the SE plugin, and we will activate on flag 1. And what we're going to do, the very first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to change their AI. And it's going to be bad priest 1 is the first guy. And we're going to change his AI profile to 2. Now remember, I mentioned that when we were doing the AI profiles before. The AI profile we want to switch to is 2, and that is standing still. So he's going to stop his little worship animation and start standing still. And we're going to do that for each of them. So we want to change mob AI, bad priest 2. I'm just going to copy that. And change AI to bad priest 3, AI 2. And change AI of bad priest 4 to AI 2. And then we're going to want to start a conversation. So we'll say start a conversation. Bad priest 1 is going to start it. And the conversation is going to be priest. like that. And we'll start that, 2 seconds after they cross the trigger. So there we go. We've got all of flag 1 done. Now let's look at our little sheet here. Okay, so we're going to do some fancy visual effects next. So let's finish this. The fancy visual effects. First, you're going to fire each priest is going to fire a beam into the center of the ritual area. Okay, so we want a beam to fire. Now, the way beams work, the easiest and best way to get them to work is to have them going between 2 placeable objects. And the downside of beams is that each beam effect can only have one destination. Like if a beam starts, say, right here and goes to the center, the thing that I'm hitting in the center here, there can only be 1 per beam. So I would need, if I want to start 4 beams, 1 from each of these locations, I would need actually 4 different placeables here in the center for them to work. Otherwise, you'll just end up with 1 beam and the other 3 isn't going to work. So I could do that. As an alternative, though, what I like to do is I like to reverse it. You can have 4 beams come from 1 source and go to 4 different destinations. So if I, instead of having a beam fire from here going to the center, if I have a beam from the center firing out to these 4 different locations, I only need 1 source placeable for that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to do it in reverse. That way I can get 4 beams going through the center. The placeable I'm going to use is an actual Legends Quest SE helper. So in our blueprints here, under Legends Quest Special Effects, I've got the SE object helper. That's going to be the guy we're going to use for all this. So I'm going to put our guy in the center right there. And I'm actually going to put him up in the air a little bit, like so. And we'll call it, I'm just going to change its tag. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to lay the rest of them around. So let's lay 1 around to each place that I want a beam to go. Like that. And I'm going to raise these up so that they don't look like they're coming from the NPC's feet. Like that. Maybe now it'll look like they're coming from their head. But that's okay. That's something you can always tune later. Like so. Okay, so this is going to be actually our source. We're going to start our beam here and shoot outward. So our source is going to be, and I'm going to change its tag to beam source. And then this guy is going to be, say, beam dest 1. This guy is going to be beam dest 2. This guy is going to be beam dest 3. And this guy is going to be beam dest 4. Whoops, 4, like that. So those are our beams, where our beam effects are going to go. Now this gets a little tricky because we don't want all 4 of these beams to just fire at once. We want them to kind of start in sequence. So I've said this before, timing for visual summoning effects. First thing we're going to want to have happen is at second 0, so immediately, as soon as the flag gets set, we'll have beam 1 fire. At second 1, we'll have beam 2 fire. At second 2, we'll have beam 3 fire. At second 3, we'll have beam 4 fire. We'll have them going for 2 seconds. So at second 5, we'll have the beams stop, which means the duration of these beams are all going to be 5. The duration of this beam is going to be 5. The duration of this beam is going to be 4. The duration of this beam is going to be 3. The duration of this beam is going to be 2. So at second 3, when beam 4 fires, it's going to last for 2 seconds, which means at second 5, it's going to stop. And that's why their durations are like that. Now you'll see how this looks when we do it in the game. But at the beams will stop at second 5. So also at second 5, we want a summon effect. At second 5, we're going to want a screen shake. At second 5, we're going to activate spawner. At 5.5, we'll fire the spawner. What else? We've done some effects. We've summoned him. He's appears at second 7. We'll make him speak a one-line message. Oh, one other thing we'll want to do at 5.5, actually at around 6, we'll set his plot off. Actually, I don't think we set it on, so that don't matter. At second 7, we'll speak a one-liner. Oh, at around second 6, after the beams are gone and he's spawned, we'll get our priests to move to thrones like that. And maybe what I'll do, maybe what I'll do is at 6.5, I'll spawn him, make the priests move to the thrones first, and this screen shake is going to take, we'll do that for 2 seconds, like so. There we go. That's better. And then speak one line, and then of course he's already hostile, so he'll attack. That's our timing for this flag. So there's a lot going on this flag. So the first thing we're going to do is set up our beams. So beam 1 fires duration 5 at 0 seconds. So this will be this guy here. So he's going to be the beam dest. This guy's going to be the beam source. Oh, and I'm getting interrupted. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. So, as I was saying, this is going to be our beam source, and this is going to be our beam destination. However, I will have to put them in reversed, because I am going to run into that issue I mentioned previously, where you can only have one beam hit one destination. So let's go ahead and set that up. So we'll go here, fire up Resi, plug in on our manager, special effects. And when flag 2 is on, so remember, flag 2 gets set at the end of the conversation. So when that conversation is over, we're going to have a visual effect occur. Now, normally on a beam effect, you would put in your source here, or sorry, your destination here, and your source tag here. We're going to actually put in, what do we call that? Beam source, I think it was. Beam dest and beam source, I believe, is what we called it. I'll have to go back and double check, so I forget. What do we want to do? FX. I don't want to do a beam effect, so it's BFX. Beam ab duration 5 seconds duration. It's going to happen immediately. Now, just for my own sanity, I need to go back and double check because I forgot already what these flags are. They're tags. Beam source, beam dest 1. Okay, got it. So let's go back. And you know what? A little tidbit. If something goes wrong, it usually goes wrong there. It usually goes wrong when you're putting these tags in. You mess them up, you forget them, you forget what you called it, you wrote it wrong. You know, you called it beam dest 1 when it's actually dest beam 1 or something like that. If you ever run into problems with this stuff, that's always the first thing to check. Go back, confirm your tags that you've got them correct, because you're typing them in and you can easily mess them up. And if they're spelled wrong, things just don't work. So definitely something to look for. So that's our first one. We're going to do another one. And he's going to be beam dest 2. And the source is going to be beam source. These are just their tags. VFX beam abjuration. That's the one I like to use. Now we said in our little plan here that the second beam is going to have a duration of 4 and happen on second 1. So it's going to be a duration of 4 but happen 1 second after it begins. After the flag is set, I should say. Beam dest 3 and beam source. VFX beam. I like abjuration. It's a really good effect, especially for things like summoning and whatnot. And I believe that's 2. Double check. 2 delay, duration of 3, yes. And the other one is a 3 delay, duration 2. So add, and then a visual effect of of beam dest 4, beam source, VFX beam abjuration. It's going to have a duration of 2 and starts on 3. Double check. Starts on 3, has a duration of 2. Yep, that's right. Okay, that's the beams. They're all done. Next thing we have to do is the beams will stop, so that'll happen because of durations. We need a screen shake and a summon effect. So we'll want to do a 2-second screen shake and a summoning effect. Now the place we're going to do this, we're actually going to do this right here. We'll do the visual effect right on this thing. So the beam source is where we'll do our summon. So we'll fire that up, and just want to switch something over here. There we go. File. Whoops. And I didn't select my manager waypoint. Let's see. Special effects. Again, on flag 2, we're going to do another visual effect. This one, we'll do this on beam source. And the visual effect we're going to want to do is going to be, this is the summon. So VFX, F and F, summon gate. So in case you're wondering, what I do is I go through the visual effects that are in the game and I kind of pull out the ones that I like and I record what they're called. And I just make a little note in a little text pad that I have that says, you know, if you want to do a cool summoning of a creature, this is the VFX you could use, or 2 or 3 of these VFXs are good options. If you want to do a beam effect for summoning something, you know, these 2 or 3 beam effects are good options. So I usually, that's why it seems like I pull these up really fast, because I have them written down of a bunch, you know, because there's literally tons upon tons of visual effects in Neverwinter Nights 2, and you could really spend a lot of time looking at them all and figure out which ones. So rather than cycle through trying to find one every time, I spent a day once and looked through a whole pile of them and just kind of pulled out, oh, where could I use that one? Oh, that looks good. I should be able to use that one for these kinds of things. And I just made a shorter list of ones that are my favorites. It just makes things go a little bit quicker. So this is a fire and forget, so the duration is going to be 0. Now this is going to happen at second 5. So we'll say second 5, the gate will occur, and then another visual effect, also centered on beam source. It is going to be VFX F and F screen shake. And it's going to last 2 seconds. And that's going to happen on second 5. Okay, now let's go back and look at this. We want to activate our spawner at second 5. So let's do that. Activate a spawn point. Now, I did record our demon spawn point. So that's it there. And we will do that on second 5. Activate his spawn point. That's done. We also want to move the priests to their thrones. So they already have the AI profile. It's AI profile number 3. So all we have to do is do a change of AI on them at 6 seconds. So what we do now is we'll go change mob AI and we'll say bad priest 1. We'll change AI to 3 at 6 seconds. And that's what we'll do for all of them. Change mob AI, bad priest 2, profile 3 at 6-second mark. Change mob AI, bad priest 3. Which one was that? Did I just do 2? Yeah, I did 2. Changes AI profile at the 6-second mark. Change mob AI, bad priest 4. AI 3 at the 6-second mark. There. Now that'll make them all walk over to their thrones, which is what we want. And then we want to activate the spawner at 6.5 and speak a one-liner at 7. So we'll activate his spawn point. And that, well, his spawn point is already active. We want to fire his spawning at 6.5. That'll actually bring him into the world. and speak a one-liner. Now, what's the tag of our demon? I forget. I believe it's just called demon. Now, I'm going to get him to say, "Who dares summon me? Prepare to die." So he's not happy. I was just thinking about this, and I don't think 7 is quite... I'm a little hesitant about using doing that on second 7, and the reason why is because a half a second later we fired the spawner to bring him into the world, and I'm not so sure if he's actually materialized enough on the scene for the speaking of the one-liner to show up and make sense. So I think I'm going to change this to like 8.5. So 2 seconds after he's spawned, I want him to say this. That I think makes a little bit more. That I think will look a little better. But we'll again, you always tune this stuff anyway. So that's his message, and then he spawned, and you fight, and you got your priests over here now. You're doing battle with your demon. Oh, and I want to double check again. Like I said before, always double check your tags. I want to check my demon tag to make sure that his tag is just demon. And yes, it is. Oh, and in case you're wondering, my demon looks like this. It's a level 1 quest, so I use the kobold. He's our demon. Anyway, so yeah, so that tag is confirmed. So you're going to do a fight. Okay, and your objective then, of course, is to defeat him. Now, because we already used him in the Legends Quest plugin itself as part of the actual quest, I don't have to do anything special when he dies for the advancement of the quest itself. And I just noticed my timer. You know what, I'll go for another minute. So you don't have to do anything to advance the quest when you defeat him, because the quest plugin, when we created the actual quest previously, will handle that. All we need to do is to do some more special effects when he dies. And our other special effects are the other things. So the demon appears, and I was going to make him neutral, but we'll not do that. He says some words, the priests move, the battle begins, the demon dies in a fiery explosion, players take a bit of damage, and we kill off the priests. So these 3 effects here still have to be done. Those effects, we want to have them occur when the demon dies. Okay, so our quest will already advance, that's done already, but these effects will not happen until he dies. So we need to set a flag when he dies, and then configure the manager with these effects when that flag is set. So I've said that. I'm going to pause my video and move on to another video, because I don't like making them too long. And in the third video, we'll finish those effects, and I think that should be about it. But we'll see very shortly. We'll see you in the next video.